Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive here on the Defient Podcast.
Yeah.
Brought to you by Defient, the on-chain lifestyle sports brand.
That's us.
So, as always, we're your shortcut to really understanding what's important in DeFi entertainment and sports.
Absolutely.
We've been sifting through all the noise and
a lot of it out there.
a lot of noise out there to extract those nuggets
That's right.
of signal and
Real insights.
And the goal, as always,
Yeah.
is to give you, the listener, a really clear and engaging overview without overloading you with information.
That's right.
So let's dive right in, shall we?
Let's do it. Starting, of course, with DeFi and crypto.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a deep dive without it, would it?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
So first up, we've got Elon Musk and Dogecoin. It seems the internet was pretty convinced that his Department of Government Efficiency, which, notice the acronym DOGE, was somehow linked to the cryptocurrency. Can you help us unpack that?
Oh, for sure. For sure. Classic example of just some online speculation, getting out of hand.
Right.
But in this case, Musk actually did address it himself directly at a town hall recently.
Okay.
And he just said straight out that the U.S. government has, quote, no plans to start using Dogecoin for anything official.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So what happened then when he kind of put that out there? Did anything happen with the markets?
Yeah, actually, I mean, right after he made that comment, DOGE, the price, actually dropped almost 5%.
Oh, wow.
So very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And
so clearly people were sort of reading into the speculation and banking on it, perhaps.
Absolutely. I mean, it's that hope, right?
Right,
That
right.
maybe there's something more to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, since then it has recovered somewhat, and it's trading right now around 0 less than 17 cents.
Got it. So what should our listeners take away from this little saga?
Well, I think this really just drives home the influence that these big figures can have, right?
Right.
Especially on these coins that are sort of meme coins and driven by a lot of hype and social media activity. So it's really important to, when you're looking at stuff online, particularly with crypto, to be cautious, be skeptical of rumors. There's a difference between the hype and the actual fundamental developments going on, right?
Right.
So, for our listeners, I mean, to see the price move like that based on one person's comment really emphasizes how volatile this market is.
Right.
And the need to actually do your own research, right?
Yeah.
Go beyond the trends.
Right. Due diligence is key.
Absolutely.
Okay, so moving on, we have some pretty significant pronouncements coming from Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock.
Oh, yeah. Big name.
Big name in the financial world.
For sure.
So in his annual letter to investors, he had some pretty strong warnings about the future of the U.S. dollar.
He did.
Well, what did he have to say?
Yeah, I mean, he basically suggested that the U.S. dollar could lose its world reserve currency status. And he thinks that digital assets, and he's thinking Bitcoin specifically, right, could be a real alternative on the world stage. And his concern is that, the U.S. has a growing national debt.
Right.
And these ongoing deficits. And if those problems aren't addressed, he sees this as a real risk.
So the head of one of the world's biggest, asset managers is saying that the U.S. dollar might not be the global reserve currency
Right.
if we don't get our act together.
Right.
So what does that mean for our listeners? Like, what's the significance of those words coming from someone like him?
Yeah, so his words, they carry a lot of weight because he's not alone, right?
Right.
This is kind of a growing sentiment we're seeing
Interesting.
in these traditional financial spaces. But more than just talking about it, BlackRock is actually doing stuff. They have their spot Bitcoin ETF, IBIT.
Right.
And that thing.
It's been doing well.
It's been doing incredibly well. Biggest ETF launch in history.
Wow.
Over $50 billion in assets under management.
Wow.
In less than a year.
Right.
So that just shows you the huge institutional appetite that there is for Bitcoin exposure.
Yeah.
And this isn't just people trying to make a quick buck.
Right.
This is them saying, we think this is going to be around for a while.
Yeah.
And I think for our listeners that increasing acceptance from these big institutions really shows that the whole space is maturing and the way global finance works could really be shifting.
Very interesting. So he also mentioned this concept of tokenization.
Yes.
For those of us who maybe aren't as familiar with that, could you kind of break that down a little bit and why he's so excited about it?
Sure. So basically, you've got real world assets,
right?
Like real estate, or maybe commodities,
right?
Or even art.
Okay.
And tokenization is basically taking those things and representing them as digital tokens on a blockchain.
Okay.
And this opens up a whole bunch of possibilities, right? Because now you can have fractional ownership.
Okay.
It's more liquid. And more people can access these markets
Right.
that, maybe before were kind of closed off
Got it.
to the average investor.
Yeah.
And he sees this as something that could revolutionize investing.
Yeah.
More people get access. It's more efficient.
Right.
So for our listeners, I mean, this could mean new opportunities to invest in a whole range of assets, even if you don't have a ton of capital to start with. And the process could be way more streamlined.
Fascinating. It sounds like that could be a real game changer.
Potentially, yeah.
So let's turn our attention to Rhode Island, shall we?
Right, state level.
Yeah, they've introduced this Senate bill, S0451, which seems to be focused on making Bitcoin transactions a bit more user-friendly. What's the main point of this legislation?
Well, this bill is really trying to make it easier to use Bitcoin every day in Rhode Island.
Okay.
It would allow residents and businesses to do up to 10 Bitcoin transactions every month, each one under $1,000.
Okay.
Without having to pay state capital gains taxes.
So if I'm in Rhode Island and I'm using Bitcoin to buy a cup of coffee or something or groceries, and it's under $1,000, I don't have to worry about those taxes on the state level.
Exactly. And they define a sale of Bitcoin very broadly. Anytime you exchange it for something else of value, that's considered a sale.
Right.
But it is important to remember, though, this exemption is just on the state level.
Right.
So federal taxes still apply.
Right.
And, the bill says people and businesses would still have to keep records of their transactions.
Right, of course.
Yeah, but for Bitcoin users in Rhode Island,
Yeah.
this could be a really big deal. Like, it makes it way less complicated to just use Bitcoin for those everyday smaller purchases,
Yeah.
So what's Rhode Island's goal with this, do you think? Are they trying to be seen as a crypto-friendly state?
I think that's definitely part of it, yeah. I mean, the Rhode Island Blockchain Council has come out and said that they want to make it easier to use digital assets for payments.
And their chairman, Chris Parada, he said that, the way taxes work now, it really discourages people from using Bitcoin for everyday stuff.
It adds friction.
Exactly. Yeah, and that it's slowing down this whole blockchain economy.
Oh, okay.
So they want to foster innovation.
Yeah.
And attract companies and people involved in digital assets.
Interesting.
I mean, this kind of thing at the state level, it could be a sign of this growing acceptance of crypto and bringing it into the broader economy.
Right.
And who knows, maybe other states will follow suit.
Yeah. So it seems like Rhode Island's actually ahead of the curve compared to what's being talked about on a federal level.
Yeah, that's a good point. You're right. No other state has anything like this right now.
Wow.
And the federal Loomis-Gillibrand Act?
Yeah.
They're talking about a much smaller exemption.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like only $200.
Oh, wow.
So this is kind of a unique experiment.
Yeah.
And whether it works or not could really affect how crypto's regulated.
Right.
And adopted all over the U.S.
Right.
So it's a good question. Will we see other states trying to do similar things?
Interesting. Okay, so let's talk about, the big players now, the publicly traded companies.
Yeah.
It seems like more and more of them are holding Bitcoin on their balance sheets.
Yeah, they're not messing around.
So what's the latest there?
Well, the numbers, they're pretty crazy. As of the end of March, publicly traded companies altogether, they held 656,835 Bitcoin. That's something like 3.15% of all the Bitcoin out there.
Wow.
And it's worth almost $55 billion.
So that's a pretty significant chunk
Oh,
of
absolutely.
the total supply. So who are the big names in this corporate Bitcoin buying spree?
Well, MicroStrategy,
Yeah.
they're way out in front.
Really?
Yeah, they've got 506,137 Bitcoin.
Wow.
And then after them, you've got Marathon Digital Holdings with about 46,000, Riot Platforms with around 18,000, and then Tesla, CleanSpark, Hut 8 Mining, Coinbase, Block, they're all holding somewhere between 8,000 and 11,500 each.
It's interesting how it's not just, the usual suspects.
Right.
It's across different industries
Right.
and in different types of companies. So for the average investor, for people who hold Bitcoin, what does this all mean?
Well, it means that these companies, they're not just playing around with this.
Yeah.
They're putting serious money into it.
Right.
And it shows that they see Bitcoin as a real asset,
Yeah.
not just something to speculate on.
Yeah.
So, over the long term, all this institutional demand, it can make the price more stable,
Right.
maybe less volatile, which I know some people are hoping for.
Yeah.
And it really means that Bitcoin is becoming more and more a part of the mainstream financial world.
Oh, it seems like it's here to stay at this point.
It really does.
So all this buying, it must be having some effect on the amount of Bitcoin that's available on exchanges, right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So while all this accumulation's been happening,
Uh-huh.
the amount of Bitcoin on exchanges has been dropping. Yeah, it's down to 7.53%.
Wow.
And that's the lowest it's been since 2018.
So what does it mean that there are fewer Bitcoins just, readily available to be traded?
Well, it tells us that a lot of people who hold Bitcoin,
Mm-hmm.
who's out looking to sell anytime soon,
Right.
they're holding on to it
Okay.
because they think the value is going to go up.
Okay.
And that means there's less pressure to sell right now.
So for someone who's interested in getting into Bitcoin, what does that mean for them?
Well, it could create what's called a supply shock.
Okay.
So if the amount available keeps going down,
Yeah.
but the demand is still there,
Right.
or even growing,
Yeah.
then the price could really shoot up.
Wow. So it's a situation to keep an eye on.
Absolutely. Lots of people are watching this very closely.
Very interesting. Okay. So last but not least, in the DeFi and crypto world, we have the Trump family making a pretty big move into Bitcoin mining.
Yep. You're not going to believe this one.
Tell us about it.
So Hut 8, which is, a big Bitcoin mining company,
Yeah.
they've partnered with American Data Centers, a firm backed by Eric Trump and Donald Trump Jr.,
Wow.
to start a new Bitcoin mining operation.
Okay.
And they're calling it American Bitcoin.
Very on the nose.
Very much so, yeah. And so how this is structured is it's a cashless merger.
Okay.
Hut 8's going to own 80% of it and manage the operations.
Got it.
They'll be deploying over 60,000 ASIC mining machines, which, if you don't know,
Yeah.
those are specialized computers just for Bitcoin mining.
Right, which is a very energy-intensive process.
Oh, yeah, very much so.
So they need those specialized machines.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, so Hut 8 is taking care of most of that.
Yep, and American Data Centers will have the other 20% ownership.
Okay, so the Trumps are getting involved in crypto then, it seems like.
Seems like it, yeah. There are also reports that they're involved with this DeFi project, World Liberty Financial.
Interesting. So who are the big names behind this new American Bitcoin?
Well, the leadership team includes Mike Ho as executive chairman.
Okay.
Matt Prusak is going to be CEO.
Okay.
And Eric Trump is the chief strategy officer.
Oh, wow. Interesting. So what do you think this all signals to our listeners?
I mean, it's pretty clear that Bitcoin mining is getting more and more mainstream appeal.
Yeah.
And now you've got these really recognizable figures
Right.
from outside the crypto world
Yeah.
getting directly involved.
Yeah.
And I think this could bring in even more investment
Right.
and attention to this whole sector.
It's a really interesting development.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's completely shift gears now and talk about sports.
All right. Sounds good.
So U.S. figure skating had an amazing time at the ISU World Figure Skating Championships in Boston.
Oh, they killed it. It was
Yeah.
historical.
Tell us about it.
So they won gold in 3 out of the 4 disciplines,
Wow.
which is huge.
Yeah.
So on the final day, Madison Chock and Evan Bates won in ice dance,
Okay.
and Ilia Malinin took the men's title. And this was after Elisa Liu won gold in the women's event on Friday.
So they swept the podium.
Yeah, essentially.
Wow.
Which it's the first time the U.S. has ever won gold in 3 categories at a single world championship.
Really?
First time.
That's incredible.
It's amazing.
So what does this mean looking ahead at the Olympics?
Well, because they did so well in Boston,
Yeah.
they've secured the maximum number of entries, 3 each,
Okay.
for the 2026 Winter Olympics in the women's, ice dance, and men's events.
Wow.
And on top of that, they've earned 2 spots in pairs and have a chance to qualify a third.
Okay.
So if they get that third pair spot,
Yeah.
it'll be the first time the U.S. has had a full figure skating team at the Olympics since 1984.
That's incredible.
That's a big deal.
So it sounds like the team had a really great dynamic.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Justin Dillon,
Yeah.
who's the senior director of high performance at U.S. Figure Skating,
Okay.
he was saying that the team's success really came from their support for each other and the positive energy they brought. That's nice.
It's really nice to see.
Yeah.
So, for the fans out there, this just means great things for the future of U.S. figure skating.
That's great to hear.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Madison Chock and Evan Bates.
Okay.
Their ice dance victory, it's their 3rd consecutive world title.
Yep.
That's a huge accomplishment.
Absolutely massive. They've made history.
Yeah.
They're now the most decorated ice dance team in U.S. history at the World Championships.
Wow.
And they're the first American team to win 3 world titles and the first ice dance team worldwide to win 3 in a row since, like, the late 90s.
Really?
Yeah, they're in a class of their own.
Wow.
I mean, their medal count is 3 golds, a silver, and 2 bronzes over 12 appearances at Worlds.
That's incredible. That kind of consistency is pretty hard to come by.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Absolutely.
inspiring, I think.
It really is.
So it seemed like they were particularly grateful for, the support they've had.
Yeah, for sure. Chock called it a magical week.
And she thanked everyone, their coaches, family, friends,
Yeah.
everyone who's been there for them.
Yeah.
And, she recognized how much work it takes to keep competing at this level.
Yeah.
And they're super grateful for that support.
It's a good reminder for all of us
For sure.
that even at the highest level,
Yeah.
these are people who are working really hard
Absolutely.
and have this support system behind them.
Totally.
So tell me about their performance. What were some of the highlights?
So their free dance was to Take 5,
Okay.
which is such a classic.
Yeah.
And their routine was just beautifully choreographed, really intricate.
Mm-hmm.
They played these like newlyweds, and it was really captivating. And their technical execution was just flawless.
Okay.
They got the highest score for executed elements
Wow.
in the whole competition. They were hitting level 4s, that's the highest level of difficulty, on their lifts, dance spin, and twizzle sequence.
Wow.
And they were one of the few teams where both skaters got a level 3 on their step sequences.
Wow.
And, their artistry was just amazing, too.
Yeah.
That's reflected in their program component scores. And they ended up winning by more than 5 points.
Wow. That's huge.
Yeah, a decisive victory. And, winning in front of their home crowd in Boston
Yeah.
just made it even more special.
I bet.
Yeah.
So Chock and Bates weren't the only ones who did well for the U.S. in ice dance, though, right?
Yeah, no. Christina Carrera and Anthony Ponomarenko,
Okay.
they came in 5th,
Okay.
which is their best finish ever at Worlds.
Oh, wow.
They moved up from the rhythm dance, and Ponomarenko, he was pretty emotional about it.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, they skated to the Carmen Suite. He was super passionate.
Okay.
And they got the 4th highest technical scores in the free dance.
Wow. Impressive.
Yeah. And their artistry scores are getting better and better.
Okay.
And they also set new career highs
Wow.
in both their free dance and total score.
So a great competition for them.
Oh, totally. And then you have Caroline Green and Michael Parsons.
Uh-huh.
They finished in the top 10, 9th overall, and it's their 2nd time doing that.
Okay.
And they had their best free dance of the season.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Their routine was to Douglas Dare's Dance Me to the End of Love,
Okay.
and it was really introspective and moving.
Oh.
They landed 5 level 4 elements, and they got personal bests for all 3 of their scores at this competition.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, it shows just how strong the U.S. is in ice dance right now.
Yeah. A lot of depth in the field.
Totally.
So let's talk about Ilia Malinin.
Okay.
He defended his world title in men's.
Yeah. And his performance, it was groundbreaking.
Yeah, I heard there was something kind of historic about it.
Yeah, so he became the first skater ever to land all 6 different types of quadruple jumps in one program.
No way.
Yeah, it's incredible.
That's unbelievable.
His program was set to I'm Not a Vampire.
Yeah.
And it was so technically difficult, it was almost unbelievable to watch.
Mhm.
He started with 4 of the hardest quads, the flip, the axle, the lutz, and the loop. And those alone got him almost 60 points.
Wow. So most of his points just came from those jumps.
Basically, yeah. And he's said he wants to perfect this routine for the Olympics.
So he's not done yet.
Not even close, I don't think.
Wow.
And the crowd in Boston,
Yeah,
they were going wild.
I bet.
Yeah, they loved his technical skill, but also his style.
Yeah.
Like he does this signature raspberry twist and a backflip.
Oh, wow.
It's really entertaining. But even with all that,
Yeah.
he was a little disappointed because he doubled out of a planned 7th quad.
Wow. So he was going for 7 quads in one program.
Yeah, that's the level he's competing at.
That's unbelievable.
I know, it's crazy. But, he said the home crowd really inspired him, and he just wants to keep getting better.
That's the sign of a true champion, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Always striving for more.
Totally. And his free skate score was the highest for any man this season internationally.
Really?
Yeah, the only one to break 200 points. And his total score was also the best in the world this season.
So the best in the world.
Yeah, and this gold medal
Yeah.
makes him only the 7th U.S. man to win back-to-back golds at Worlds.
Really?
Yeah, he's joining a very elite group.
That's amazing.
Incredible.
And I heard he's been on, like, a winning streak
Oh, yeah.
since last season.
Yeah, he hasn't lost since the 2023 Grand Prix final.
Wow.
So he's on fire.
He's on fire.
Yeah.
So we also had some other U.S. men competing. How did they do?
Well, Jason Brown,
Yeah.
he had a really good comeback
Okay.
in the free skate. He ended up finishing 8th overall,
Okay.
and his program was to Spiegel im Spiegel,
Okay.
and it was just beautiful.
Oh.
Really captivating. The crowd loved it.
Yeah, he's known for being a crowd favorite.
Oh, for sure. And they gave him a standing ovation.
Oh, wow.
He landed 8 triple jumps
Okay.
and got level 4s on all his spins.
Wow. Impressive.
Yeah, his performance was really about those beautiful moments and artistry.
Yeah.
And he got the 4th best free skate score.
That's great.
Yeah, and, Brown said that it's the performance side of skating that really drew him in.
Oh,
And he's always pushing himself to get better.
that's great.
Yeah. And he got a new international best for his free skate score. And his total score was higher than before, too.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, great competition for him. And then Andrew Torgashev,
Yeah.
he had a rough free skate.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he ended up in 22nd place.
Okay.
And he said that he just wasn't feeling it.
Yeah.
He felt disconnected and overwhelmed,
It happens.
especially on the big stage.
Oh, for sure. Especially at Worlds. It
yeah.
can be a lot of pressure.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
what are the key takeaways for our listeners?
Well, we've seen in the DeFi world that these influential figures, they can still have a big impact.
Yeah.
But we're also seeing that big financial players.
They're getting serious about Bitcoin. They're not just messing around anymore.
Right.
And then you've got states like Rhode Island
Yeah.
trying new things, trying to make it easier to use crypto every day.
Yeah. It's an interesting development for sure.
And then you've got companies holding more and more Bitcoin
Yeah.
and fewer of them available on exchanges,
Right.
which could mean big price swings.
Yeah. It's definitely a situation to watch.
Absolutely. And then to top it all off,
Yeah.
you've got people from outside the crypto world,
Mm-hmm.
like the Trump family,
Yeah.
getting involved in Bitcoin mining.
It's definitely getting more mainstream.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it.
And then in the world of sports.
Well, the U.S. figure skating team just crushed it.
Yeah, they really did.
They showed the world how good they are.
Yeah.
They won tons of medals.
Mhm.
They secured spots for the Olympics,
Uh-huh.
and they broke records.
Yeah.
They're at the top of their game.
It was inspiring to watch.
It really was.
Well, thanks for breaking it all down for us.
My pleasure. Always fun to chat.
Yeah, it's always interesting to see what's happening in these different worlds.
Definitely keeps things exciting.
Absolutely. So that concludes our deep dive for today, folks. Join us next time on the Defiant Podcast, powered by Defiant.
Yep.
Where we unpack the latest crucial developments
That's right.
shaping our world.
See you then.
See you then.